Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Flim Flam Films. Today, along with Steven, we will be talking about...
Hello.
Yes, hello Steven. How are you today?
I'm great, Zane. How are you doing today?
All right.
All right, there we go.
But today we'll be talking about 2006's The Departed, which is directed by Martin Scorsese, written by William Monahan, and produced by Brad Pitt, Brad Gray, and Graham King, and starring, among others, Leonardo DiCaprio as Billy Costigan, Matt Damon as Colin Sullivan, Jack Nicholson as Frank Costello, Martin Sheen as Oliver Queenan, Mark Wahlberg as Sean Dignam, Vera Farmiga as Madeline Madden, Ray Winstone as and Ray Winstone as Arnold French. And also, fun fact, this is a remake of a 2002 Hong Kong film called Infernal Affairs. Ooh.
Correct. Right. So, a quick summary of this film: you have it starts out Frank Costello, the head gangster. You know, he's just chilling about, going to a convenience store, sees this little kid, and talks about how a man has to make his own way in this world.
If you want something, you got to get it.
Yeah, you
It's
got
not
to
being
take it in
given
this
to you.
world. Nothing's given, everything's earned. So, and then it skips through, and then you see two cadets at the academy. You have Matt Damon's character Collins, or Collie, as
Colin. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Frank likes
Collie.
to call him
Yeah.
Collie.
Sorry.
So Collie's like a year ahead of Leo's character. So he graduates a little bit beforehand. He rises through the ranks real quick, obviously, because, you know, he gets tips from, you know, criminals because of Frank and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then you have Leo's character who is going through to the academy, and then it pops up at the actual police station in Boston, and shenanigans happen. They make Leo undercover to try to get Frank.
Yeah, Billy goes undercover
Yeah, Billy.
into Costello's gang, and Colin goes undercover into the police force.
Yeah,
So-
Collie's been undercover, I guess, his whole life. And then
I mean,
Billy.
not his whole life, just when he entered the police academy.
Yeah.
And was
I
told that he
mean,
had to do
working,
that.
but he's been working with Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Um,
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. And then Billy, yeah, he goes undercover for the police force. He has to serve some time, and then, you know, just a bunch of shenanigans happen. It's kind of like a game of, was it Cat and Mouse?
That's correct, Cat and Mouse.
That is correct? Okay. Yeah, so, game of Cat and Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I enjoyed about the film was, when we went into it, I guess I'll say my expectations were like perfectly met, because not that I'm not a fan of Martin Scorsese's films. They've always been kind of just like okay to me. Like usually like 6 or 7 out of 10. Like I always
yeah.
enjoy them, but I never like usually want to go back and watch them.
Watch it over again.
But I think I'd go back and watch The Departed. I didn't enjoy it for like a crime thriller. Definitely enjoyed it more than like Casino.
Quick-
If you've seen that one.
Quick question. Would you consider this more, if you had to pick between gangster or cop film, what do you think it would relate more under?
I mean, I don't think you could put it under either specific, just one of them. It's both, because both of the main characters are like technically part of each world, you know,
Yeah.
and they're both central to the film and stuff. Well, I guess more so. I guess Billy's more the main character over Colin
Yeah.
in the long run, but yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
I didn't know if you would just about full out gangster movie or full on cop movie.
No, but one thing I really did like about the film, or I liked it, but I also was kind of confused by it. Because I was thinking about the whole movie was there are a lot of scenes in the film where the soundtrack or the audio will be. I couldn't even tell if it was started to become louder, or if it was just very present, like a song would be playing or whatever, and then it would cut.
Yeah,
like
direct
10 or
cut.
20 seconds into it, like a hard cut to something else. And then it would either just stay that way, or like a couple seconds later after it had gone silent and it was just dialogue or like ambient noise, it would immediately go back to the music. And I don't know if that was I mean, I think it was intended, but I couldn't figure out
Why?
It made me think about the whole film, like why they were doing that. Do you have any ideas on that?
My only guess would just be to intensify it, I guess.
Just accentuate the scene
Yeah,
and the
so
contrast.
like
That's what's going
before,
on.
like yeah, so if they're driving and you just have music, and then boom, direct cut the music, and then it's dialogue, and they're like transferring cocaine or whatnot. Maybe builds tension more.
Yeah, also, I wanted to say really quickly, the use of the Dropkick Murphys, I'm shipping up to Boston multiple times throughout the movie. I couldn't help but laugh because, I mean, it's an okay song, I guess, but it's just, I've seen it, I've heard it many, many times, and I've seen it online and funny videos and stuff like that, and I just can't take the song seriously, and anytime I heard it in the film, I just laughed.
Fair enough.
I didn't,
mean, it was
like,
2006 though, so
I know, it just came out as really popular, but if it was like a really serious scene in it, and as soon as it came on, all the tension was lost for me, and I just couldn't take it seriously.
that's fair. That's fair. Maybe that's why it was so loud, because people didn't take it seriously, but it was such a good song. They just had to play it louder and louder, so it just bleed your ears. I don't know.
Yeah, and there were also a lot of like visual, I guess, metaphors that happened in the film that were like, not to say they were on the nose, but they were very easy to see.
Oh,
but I still
some
appreciated
of them were
them.
definitely on the nose.
Like the one I really enjoyed was, or I thought was good, was at the very beginning of the film when Colin's character, he like passes the academy and he's a police officer and he's outside of the police station, and the shot opens up with just a tiny little circle around him in all black, and then it opens up to the police station, and then towards the end of the film, when he's a sergeant and he's like looking over the undercover case and all that stuff, he's getting more stressed out and whatever, and then the scene ends. This particular scene ends with the circle again, but it closes in on him instead, and there's a bunch of black around him. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that one's
simple thing. But cool.
Yeah, simple. I mean, it's not super obvious either. Unlike the very end of the one with the rat kind of being in the.
Well, don't spoil it.
Oh, I'm just saying they're just being a rat there,
Where? A rat where?
in the scene.
Oh, okay. You're just saying there's a rat and then nothing else.
Scene. Well, I mean, you were like, don't spoil anything.
Well, no, I mean like.
So there's a rat that just goes across the screen, and it's like.
At the end of the movie.
Obviously.
After the final thing happens.
Yeah, and it's
fitting because the whole movie
revolves around
like,
finding a rat.
Yeah, about like rats and being undercover and like what does it mean to have, what is identity?
Yeah, the rat, so the snitch finding the informant.
Yeah, but also like how I just said, like it focuses on like what does it mean to be like yourself,
Yeah.
Because it's also brought up a couple of times where a couple of the characters says I don't remember if it's the same thing repeated or if there's a slight variation, but it's like whether you're a cop or a burglar or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't. What's the difference?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a cop or the church says you can be one of two things. You can either be a cop or a criminal, but I say, what's the difference when a loaded gun's in your face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's at the beginning, and then they also do it later. They have a lot of good metaphors and reference. Like another good one is Billy sitting at it's probably lunchtime-ish, and he's sitting talking to Frank, and Frank just pulls out this man's hand. It's in a bag, and he's just like, John Lennon used to say he could make art out of anything. Like, hand that man a tuba, and he could make art out of it. And I like to think I'm the same way. He's just moving like
you're very flattered.
The hand all around the table in the bag, and it's still bloody. And he's like, so when I see you, Billy, I'm like, what can I make? What can I make out of you?
What can you do for me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good metaphors throughout.
Yeah. And I thought it was, I don't know if this was intentional, but I thought it was funny how at that point, Billy still had the cast around his hand when he broke it from punching that guy's in. And then when I saw that he pulled out a severed hand, I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about his broken hand, and now there's a severed hand just in the scene.
Yeah, that probably hurt. Like, if your hand was actually broken, and someone just
smashed the cast off, and then smashed it further with a boot.
Oh, yeah. With your own boot,
Yeah, with your own boot.
And not just like a regular boot. Like, this is a straight hiking boot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Smashed.
Oh, yeah, but I wanted to go back real quickly to the whole identity thing, because that is one thing I've thought of before, and I've talked with a couple people about. Like, it's very.
Oh, we're gonna get to more of that.
Oh yeah.
You want me to jump into this next section?
I want to talk about this real quick.
Yeah,
it might connect to it.
Yeah, it's about it.
But I've talked with people before about, like, I don't know how I feel about like police and FBI people and whatever, like going undercover like this, I just don't know how I feel about it, like morally, because like you see like Billy once he gets into the gang, he does things that like normally he wouldn't do and stuff like that. I'm having a difficult time articulating how like I feel about it, but
He wouldn't be doing crime if he was part of the
well,
police.
no, it's like when do you stop? What is the line if you're undercover? Like how far
Are
do
you willing to go?
No, not willing. How far do you go? How far do they go? When do your superiors say okay, we're pulling you out, because I've never read any actual undercover cases and what has happened in real life, but if someone were just to watch this movie and based off that and other movies they've seen, it really gives off the impression that they don't care that much.
Well, I mean, Billy doesn't go too far. I mean, we're gonna get into this more, but like, what I mean by too far, all Billy does we don't see Billy actually kill anyone.
Oh, he never kills anyone in the film, but
Yeah.
he's an accomplice to murder though.
And
He shot that one guy in the leg,
but he didn't kill him.
and he beat up quite a few people.
Yeah, but I mean, get him beat up, kill him, two different things.
I know, but it's still being an accomplice.
Yeah,
that's
but
a
I
big
mean,
thing.
But they know that he's gonna have to do that stuff. It's not like
Well, they know
Billy
that, but
had to
they
rape
don't. They
four
don't.
children,
Well,
or
yeah,
anything like
obviously,
that
but
extreme.
they don't really necessarily encourage more extreme behavior because there's a scene where he's talking to Queen and Dignam under the bridge, and they're like, "Oh, it's just you think you can do this and just use this as a free pass to get away with it?" No,
Yeah.
So I guess there are limits, but it's like it's very gray, and I couldn't be able to do that. I couldn't fake my way into stuff like that.
Well, we're going to talk about this more, but I'm just going to introduce this part. This is a special episode, guys, because this is also for my forensic psychology class. So we're going to talk about some of the forensics and the psychology of this film. So we're about to jump back more into that, but I just want to say that. So if anything just sounds confusing or just messed up, that's probably what it is, But it's sort of
Okay.
great, yeah. So, and we're at, okay, got the time in the head. Yeah, Zane, so you were talking about how you couldn't do it. I mean, Billy can barely do it, though, throughout the whole
it's
throughout the
shown
whole film.
he develops like a drug addiction to like painkillers.
Yeah,
Or at first it's painkillers, it's
it
like
was-
OxyContin, and then he gets what's the other thing he gets?
Lorazepam.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, so because first he has to go to a probation officer anyway, because so Billy to get
No, that's a psychologist or psychiatrist. That's Madden.
yeah, Madeline, but I mean like mental health profession, but he has to do it because he's on probation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what did I say? Probation officer.
Yeah, that's not their PO.
wrong,
That's
yeah.
not his PO.
Yeah, but I mean, he has to do it because he's on probation. So he goes and sees the shrink because, all this stress from being undercover, and when he has to buy, I guess, Massachusetts for committing a crime. So that's what he says when he goes in there originally. And he starts, first off, he goes and he's just talking to her and asks if she lies or whatnot. And then he goes and says, he finally tells her the truth. She's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "I'm just here to get drugs because I'm
Very
I don't
stressed
sleep,
out.
I don't do anything. So I really, really need you to get drugs." And she was like, "Nope, sorry." And then at first, he convinces her, and she gives him two pills. 2 pills of, my guess is it's still lorazepam. And he's like, "2? Really? You might as well give me a bottle of scotch and a handgun to blow my brains out." And then he's just like, "I thought this is where I was supposed to be honest and stuff." And he storms out, and then she gives him a slip.
Prescription.
For lorazepam. Was it 20 lorazepam?
Yeah.
And then he immediately goes, "Is this enough to kill myself?" And she's like,
Yeah.
"That is a lot of drug-seeking
It is.
behavior. So I'm transferring you." And then Billy, just being casual as heck and smooth, I guess, he just goes, "Oh, so you want to get coffee?" Question mark.
It makes you for a second. It makes you question if that whole thing was just an act for the drugs, or just to ask her out. But it's obviously like not.
Yeah,
That was just an extra.
Yeah,
thing.
after he gets the drugs throughout the whole film, which this is a double thing. Because one, I mean, like criminal behavior, and then two, like being a police officer is a lot of stress. It's Billy being undercover. He has way more stress. And like you said, he definitely becomes addicted to them. Like every other scene, like after he gets off the phone with Sergeant Nigman or
Queenan.
Queenan, you always see him popping pills. So
Hey,
the very first
they're
time
prevalent throughout the rest of the film.
the very first time you actually see him, he's not taking just one. He takes three. So I mean,
But we don't know the recommended dose. It's probably not 3, but
if we were to make educated guesses, I would say not 3.
not 3,
Not
4.
3. But I mean, like, so like all the forensics and psychology stuff to this film is a lot really interesting. So like Zane, as someone not in the class, how do you feel about, you know, the stigma of like if your whole family's bad, that's probably how you're gonna end up if you're just surrounded by
Nature
crime.
versus nurture.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to talk
Because
about that.
that's a huge thing in the film anyway. Because at the very beginning of the film, Frank talks about it. He goes, "I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me."
I think that's more of a sense of like narcissism. Though.
Narcissism?
I think that comes from a place of like narcissism.
But
'cause-
like, wouldn't you though think that way? Like, you wouldn't want to be a product of an environment. You would want like what you do in your environment to be a product from you.
That comes more from a sense of everyone doesn't want to feel like they don't have control over their own
they don't
lives.
have
That's everyone. I mean, I'd say everyone. I feel like most people have that feeling of like they want to take control of their lives and they can't stand the thought of things happening out of their control because it's a scary thing. Because you can't control a lot of things in life. It just happens to you.
Well, I mean, I like, for me, the way that I took it, because after he talks about how like people think that everything is given to them, he's like, that's why I hate them, because it needs to be earned. I think that's what it more, to me, that's what it related more to. Is he's like, no, I could make excuses and blame my environment, or I can make the environment the way I want it for me. So that's the way I took it.
Yeah. But I wanted to say, another beginning scene is when Billy is talking to Dignam and Queenan for the first time.
That's what I was getting to. Yeah,
and Dignam especially is
Dignam
just giving
is
Billy
tough, bad cop. Yeah.
He's giving him so much crap about his family and stuff like that, and that really like annoyed me because he was basically telling him like, you know, your whole family's awful. You're awful. You're a piece of crap. You're not gonna do anything. Why would we want you? And that that annoyed me because I was like, you're perpetuating it now. You're the one you're being the guy that's making this happen. Where if you're actually like a good police officer or detective or whatever, and you want a better society, you wouldn't put this guy down and say he's already a bad guy because of he was raised in his family and stuff like that.
So, for more detail on that, right? So, they call Billy in the office, and they immediately go, "So what's a kid like you wanting to be a police officer?" And then he's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Yeah, what's a guy like you? First off, you got kicked out of school for beating the crap out of was it a janitor?
I don't remember.
Or a teacher." And then they go on to list like all of his family. Like his dad was a nobody that worked at an airport. His uncle Jackie was a bookie and worked for Frank. He has a cousin that sells dope. Coke. And then he also he's like, they mention another one of his uncles or relatives that's a priest, and then they mention how he fled the country with a little boy.
He's a diddler.
Yeah. And he was just like, okay, and then Digman just dogging him more and more. He's like, I bet you had 2 little lives, one with your mom and then one with your dad. Probably had 2 little accents too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also think like, you know, a good part of Dignam and what he was talking about, he actually probably did mean it, but it also came from a place that's just how his character is. Because you see throughout the movie, he's just his outward appearance just seems like, you know, the
tough bad, like
not like I'm a bad guy, but like the biggest just like dick ever.
Yeah, no,
but he
like,
means well.
Good
it's
cop
just,
and bad cop.
It's
like
just
he plays a bad
really
cop.
difficult for him to show it, or he just chooses not to show it ever.
Yeah.
Because I still think he cares about Billy. Just
he definitely does.
He has a funny way of showing it.
I mean,
and I think it was also
definitely see him show it in the film. Mm-hmm. Not at the beginning, but you definitely see it.
Yeah, but also I think when they were at the beginning when he was talking to Billy about it, I think it was also the third part of it was it was partly just him dogging on him just because I don't know why.
I think to
he
see
didn't
if I think it's like part of not liking him, and then
it was part of the process
to actually see if he was going. if he was willing to. And that's another thing. So like, obviously Digman's not a shrink or whatnot, but like that's almost an assessment test to see if if Billy can't handle the stress of Digman just dogging on him, he's definitely not going to be able to
survive in a gang.
Yeah, he's not going to survive to be undercover. Like, yeah, he had 2 fake lives throughout his childhood, but completely different than, as a big theme, having a loaded gun pointed at your head.
I also wanted to make a quick side point. In that scene, I've never seen someone purse their lips harder than Leonardo DiCaprio did in that scene. That whole scene, it's just like he has no lips. He just goes like the whole time. Also,
when he's getting dogged on by Digman.
Yeah. Also, throughout the whole movie, his lips are so thin and pursed the whole time. It was kind of funny. But
drugs
anyway,
and smoking, man.
No, but back to what you were saying.
Yeah. I don't know. God, if I can remember what I was making.
It's talking about Dignam's process of interrogating Billy as a test.
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely multiple layers. I feel like it wasn't as simple as does he actually want to be a police officer. I feel like it was also a stress test to see if he can handle that. Because like, as we see, like immediately after he tries to join the gang, he literally gets his broken hand smashed.
3 broken.
Yeah. Smashed and destroyed constantly.
Well,
So
also, another interesting thing that popped out to me was how, like, I feel like the 2 father figures that he has, Queenan and Costello, in the film.
That's a big thing throughout
we'll get into that in a
movie.
second too. But I feel like it was interesting to me how both of them at the beginning were telling Billy that they almost wanted him not to do it because they wanted something better for him. Because at the beginning, Queenan was like, "Hey, why aren't you going to school or whatever?" And then later on in the film, he's talking to Costello, and Costello's also like, "When are you going to realize you need to get out of this? Because you could have a better life than this. You don't.
Yeah,
really,
he was like,
you don't
school's
need this."
out. Yeah, because they said he had a 1400
SAT.
And he's like, dude, you should
Queenan
be an
did.
astronaut and
Yeah,
not a state trooper.
And Costello came more from an angle of like, a lot of your people in your family were like crooked, or your uncle was, but your father was a really great guy. If he saw you with me, he'd come and kill like 7 people just to get to me.
Yeah,
and he like
your uncle would have done the same too.
And Costello said like he couldn't have a use for his dad because he didn't want money, but he said he admits he was like a good man and like he actually like respects him, and he would want, I feel like, and a bit of him wants Billy. He knows he could go do something else and get out of all of this.
Well, that's the thing. Like the whole film, right? There's a lot of father figures in it, which is I get maybe an underlining theme, like because Frank is also a father figure.
He's a father figure to Collie and Billy, but he's
and probably others that aren't important in the film.
Well, I don't think for Colin, but Queenan is definitely also another father type figure for Billy.
For Billy, but I'm just talking about Frank in general. Probably a father figure to a lot, because Collie at the beginning of the film, he lives with his grandma. He doesn't have a dad or whatnot. But that's a heavy theme throughout, because whenever there's a tip to like stop anything, Collie will call Frank and he'll always mention, "Hey, Dad."
Yeah, he calls him Dad.
He calls him Dad. And then like you were saying with Billy, with Queenan, like when he sees a very important scene. We're in spoiler-free zone. This is part of the psychology. So, spoiler zone. I'll just put that in the comments.
Okay, so now we're into it? Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about spoilers. So, like, when Billy sees... when Billy sees Queenan die, you can see the actual pain that he feels. Because Billy only had his mom, really. Mm-hmm. He says it all the time. Like, all of his family were complete a-holes to him. Like, you can see when his mom's, like, basically on her deathbed and his uncle's there. And he's like, "No, we're done when she dies."
Yeah,
Nothing.
I have no connection to you at all.
Nothing. So, like, that's big. And then, what you were saying with Frank, because they're getting lunch together. And he's like, "You ever think about going back to school?" And he's like, "With all due respect, Frank, school's out." And he was like, "Boy, are you an idiot."
Yeah, you're stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, like, that's one thing about Frank. Like, yeah, he's the mobster, he's the thug, but honestly, he doesn't. Yeah, I mean he kills people, but
only
deep
people in
down-
his business.
Yeah, only people in his business, and deep down he's actually a good.
I wouldn't call
I
him.
wouldn't say like good, but I mean like how to say it. For the most part, he tries to get people out from living poor lives. Like he definitely put Collie through college and school and law school, helped him.
But
get
that
a
was
house.
just so he could get him into the police department so he could
Yeah,
work for him.
but to continue, like even though he basically hates the church, he still fundraises and gives
Yeah. Well,
donations, and he's like, okay, listen, get those kids' little peckers out of your mouth, priest, or I'm going to kill you.
yeah. But also I want to point out that like there's like I feel a real life comparison to this, because in the past there have been a lot of like famous drug lords and like mobsters and stuff like that throughout history that
Or
they,
they're
they,
with-
they do all these illegal things, but
Give
they,
the community.
they give back to the community, stuff like that, and like lower class people kind of like look up to them in a way.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the film, when Colin, when he's talking about there's no difference between a loaded gun, right? Between being a cop or a crime.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by a group of younger children, and he's talking to them, hanging out with all of them, because they're all in the garage. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what these kiddos are doing, but they don't need to come over here. Oh. All right. Yeah. So that's one thing. Zane, do you have anything else while I find my spot that I'm looking for in my notes?
One thing, this is just another quick little thing I read about in the film. Apparently there's a little motif that happens when a character is about to die or going to die, an X or a cross appears, not a cross, an X appears in the scene somewhere. And thinking back to it, I was like, oh yeah, there is, because when Billy calls Queen into that building, there are a bunch of X's on the walls and stuff around him before he gets thrown out of it. And then there are X's in the elevator when at the end, when Billy takes Collie down and then he gets blasted in the face as soon as the door opens.
Oh,
Spoiler.
Yeah. I mean, we're in this already. We spoiled.
Yeah.
We're already in that zone. How do you... So another theme about the whole film is just cops. I guess, like, do you think they got this... Do you think it's still the same like it was in 2006, where everyone thought cops were just pieces of work, for lack of a better word? Like, they're entitled and,
Well, there have always been people that have thought that.
full of I mean, like, do you think it's as serious as it was in the film? Like, so, like, Billy, even though he's an undercover cop, like, his whole thing is, like, they're all trash. They're all pieces of work. Like, when he's talking to Madeline. And then even, like, when he leaves the bar scene, one of the bars, yeah, it was right when they're trying to find the rat, and Frank hires a new crew, and he leaves, and then two of Frank's crew are like, "You're a cop," and he was like, "What?" He's like, "Anybody that ignores us, they're a cop," and he was like, "Oh, okay, well, see you guys."
Wait, I failed to see how that connects to your previous
I mean,
statement.
like, cause when they're talking about like why who's a cop and who's not a cop, like the undercover cops are like the people that would just ignore you and be rude to you. So, cause like during the scene when everyone's walking past, they're like saying hello and trying to be, I want to say polite, but they're all like looking at them and saying hello. And yeah, I guess they know that they're mobsters or crooks. They just don't.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that from that scene, because to me that was just them making a joke, and they didn't mean it in terms of like if they ignore you, they're a cop, like because they won't help you. It's just because they're undercover, like you said.
Gotcha.
I still don't see how that was connected though to your previous statement.
Might have been a stretch.
All right.
Just trying to think. You want to just jump into good old Madeline then for forensics?
I guess. Yeah.
So, how do you like Madeline's character? Madeline is the psychologist
She's the love interest of Collie and Billy.
and Billy, unbeknownst to either of them.
Collie first, then later Billy. as
Yeah.
well. I mean, she was fine in the film. I definitely really only cared for Billy the whole time.
I guess that's fair.
But-
Oh, go ahead.
It was interesting because another thing about Infernal Affairs, the character of Madeline was merged to make, or two characters from Infernal Affairs were merged to make Madeline. Because I guess in the original movie, Billy and Collie, or whatever their counterparts were in that, each had their own separate love interest. And in this movie, they combined them. And I thought, I don't know how it plays out in Infernal Affairs, but I thought it was interesting in this one how they combine it, because then it's like this connection between Billy and Collie.
Well, throughout the film, there's always these close encounters of Billy and Collie. So, like, from the very beginning where Billy is waiting to meet Sergeant Digman and Queenan, Collie walks right past him, doesn't see him. And then you have when he's chasing him, and then when they're every single time that either Collie's talking to Madeline about, like, the crooks or other police that she meets, or you have Billy doing the exact same. He's like, oh, you're a shrink to cops too, probably should get a better job. And he was like, yeah, they're all pieces of work, you know.
Well, geez, I just forgot what I was going to say.
That's usually how it goes, man. That's our train of thought today, is forgetting. I just keep losing my spot. Also, for a love interest, right? If I don't know if we didn't really do it in the summary, so I'll just do a little quick summary right now. Madeline, she meets Collie. They go on a date. They talk about some psychology stuff, like Sigmund Freud is like, yeah, Irish people can't psychoanalyze them. And then
is that an actual quote by him?
That is actually a quote by him. The very first time that I looked, I watched the movie and I heard the quote. I was like, wow, I need to double check that to see if that's a real quote. Because it's funny, because, you know, if Freud says we can't psychoanalyze any of these characters.
Psychoanalyze.
Yeah, psychoanalyze. I can't speak. I don't know why we're doing this thing, because they're all Irish. So I've already failed the assignment, according to Sigmund Freud. But yeah, so they have dinner. He gets this quote right, and they start dating, and then Billy meets her, and Billy goes later on, like, this coffee date because they become friends. Madeline eventually moves in with Collins. Then one night, and then in the film, there's a scene where he stresses Billy out almost to the max, and that's when they, like, take his social and everything, and he goes and visits Madeline. They do the deed, and then, you know, they kind of break away because, you know, she's in this serious relationship.
I mean, they still see each other, though.
They still see each other, but, you know,
she's keeping her options open.
Yeah, and then later in the film, you find out that Madeline is pregnant.
But with who?
But you don't know with who. You can probably safely assume that it is Billy's kid, because
wait, well, how?
Throughout earlier in the film, after she, like, eventually moves in or stays the night, there's a scene where she's like, don't worry about it. It happens to a lot of guys. He couldn't get it up, or he couldn't finish.
Oh, that completely passed over.
Yeah,
me. I must have not paid attention that well.
Throughout the whole. Okay, so yeah, shortly after they start dating and living with each other, Collins is having trouble either finishing or getting it up. They also reference it when he gets another when they tell him, when Alec Baldwin's character, the head of the SIU, is like, yeah, you should get a wife. How's that going? He's like, yeah, working overtime. Yeah, doing it a bunch with her, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
You
know how
he
acted
that makes
so
sense
weird
now.
when he said it? Yeah. So you can, I mean, there's a chance that it's Collins, but you could safely assume that it's probably Billy's.
Hopefully.
And then, hopefully, yeah.
Part of them can live on.
And then, which I think adds to the movie in general, because it gives you that more spice. And then Billy, you know, Billy dies, and you see her crying, like, just buckets at his funeral. And that's basically when, I guess, because, I mean, at the end of the day, Collie is still kind of he's a detective. So maybe he recognizes at that moment, or he knows something's up, because after the funeral, he's like, what about the baby? And she's just like, don't even talk to me.
Oh, he put it together once he saw her at the funeral, because he was wondering. Oh, no, he probably knew it before that, because he saw the envelope with Koskine's name on it with the recording of him talking to Frank.
Yeah, but that video
was way before that.
video was addressed to Kali. It wasn't addressed to her.
Oh.
The video that when
Wait,
the
no, I thought
audio
it
tape,
was
no,
addressed to Madeline.
No, it was to Kali.
Okay.
Yeah, it was addressed to Collins because Billy didn't know that she is the one having sex with Collins. Yeah, he didn't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did give her the envelope before the envelope with the audio, but at that point he still didn't know.
No, that was a different envelope.
That's what I'm saying. I said that's a different envelope.
Okay.
But he still didn't know that Collins was the one dating her. Well, engaged. They're engaged at the time.
Gotcha.
So my question to you, Zane, for I know you said you really don't care mostly about her, but
She's fine.
when you the patient doctor relationship. Granted, they didn't do anything before or during he was her patient.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? You think it's perfectly fine after, since?
Well, technically.
Or no, because he was still a former patient and she knew all of the messed up stuff.
Well, I don't know how all the confidentiality laws and rules work in that area, but I guess technically it's fine since he's not her patient anymore. So I guess it wouldn't be like dipping the pen in company. I guess it would be weird, especially since it was so soon after she moved him to another psychologist or psychiatrist.
Which we never see in the film.
Yeah, it's not important.
Yeah, not important.
But I guess it might not be the most professional thing to start seeing Billy, after that. But it wasn't an actual full-on relationship as well, They just kind of saw each other every now and then. Gotcha. But I think, in a way, I think Madeline cared for Billy more.
Oh, then Collins?
Yeah, because Billy was more
agree.
Genuine with her, and she really seemed to really appreciate
Real?
that. And I think she was only staying with Collins just because of he was the safer option. He had more money, more of a stable job,
Well, they kind of reference that in one of the scenes where they're laying in bed, and Collins is like, "Listen, if anything actually is messed up, you have to let me know because I'm Irish, and Irish people are stubborn. And they'll try to make anything work." So I think that alludes to what you were saying about she just wanted the safer of the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also think it's really interesting how chill how chill Madeline was with this whole thing, because she cheated on Collie with Billy. I was just how I said earlier, how she said she's always yeah, just keep my options open. I was like, man, you've done this before, haven't you? That's not very professional.
Probably. Without a doubt, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, she definitely has.
And I also wanted to say that earlier I said I didn't really feel bad or root for Collie at all throughout the whole movie. I never felt for him, except for the very end of the movie. Only because
the very, very end when he
yes.
just gets fucking pegged
no,
in the
before he
face.
gets shot, because I wanted for a quick second I wanted him to get away with it, only because he went through all this stuff and he got so close to getting caught, and it just so happens that there was another rat that Frank put in the police division that just so happened to be the first guy he picked to come work with him, and then he saved him from Billy and that other guy, and he's like, you thought you were the only informant, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Collie was just like, oh, wait a minute, I could just kill him when he's not looking, and I could put the whole rap on him and say he was the rat because he actually was another rat, and they didn't know there were two rats, and it all works out for me.
Yep,
and it was such all in a nice, neat bow, because he probably got rid of the tape after Madeline listened to it, so she didn't have any of the evidence.
Yeah, because that was one thing when we were watching it. You were like, why didn't she just bring it? I was like,
And
come on, dude. He's a
he got rid of
criminal.
it
Come on.
in the time between that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so close. But then Dignam was on the trail, and he caught up to
He got
him.
revenge, and that's when he shows his kindness about how much he actually cared about Billy.
Well, and I also thought, and then actually, wait, it just occurred to me. He most likely still wouldn't have gotten away with it, even if Dignam didn't come and kill him.
Oh well, he didn't because
Because Frank's lawyer still had all of his tapes.
Yep, and then also did Billy told the other guy that was murdered to call Digman. So I'm sure he actually called Digman because that's how Digman, probably figured it all out. So there's multiple. Also, he still had the envelope given to Madeline, and he still has other tapes too.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have been at his apartment or whatnot or wherever. So I don't think he would have been able to get through with it. Also, another thing when we were watching it, you were talking about like why doesn't Madeline turn everything in and put him over to the book. My reason for that, there's two options. One, she actually cared about him.
I think part of her still cared about him.
Yeah, cared about him. Or two, she felt so ashamed that her child is actually Billy's.
Yeah, it was like if her child's father grew up in prison.
Yeah, it was kind of
or
like...
he grew up while he was in prison.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Billy's kid, right? Because she did cheat on him. She was like, well, I guess I can let him do this one thing, even though that's killing and murdering is probably way worse than having a one-night stand with somebody. So it's either that or she actually cared. Now, that's one thing about Billy's character, though, I will say. Billy did love Madeline, I would say.
I couldn't tell if he did. I'm not good at
I would say
sensing that kind of thing.
I would say Billy for real did love Madeline. Because he was even getting frustrated when Frank was talking about other guys being with Madeline. He was getting
he was talking to Callie about that when he said that.
Did I say Billy?
Yeah, he said Billy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Callie about it.
So you're saying Callie was really in love with her?
Yeah, Callie. Yeah. What did I say, Billy?
Yeah, he said Billy.
Not Billy. I'm sorry. Scratch that whole part. I meant Callie.
Okay, yeah, because I can see that more than...
Callie definitely loved Madeline. Like, for sure, no doubt in my mind.
To me, Billy was much more of a friendship with, sex.
Yeah, I would agree. But, yeah, Callie definitely loved her. He didn't love a lot of things, but you could definitely see that he did care about her.
I don't think Callie loved her.
You don't think he did?
No. Well...
Because of the photo scene?
Well, okay. Because of the what?
The photo, when she pulled out her baby photo, or her photo of her childhood, and he was like, nope, gross, get out of the way.
At first I didn't think that he actually loved her because after she was like, oh, this is how you really are when she played the audio for him of that incriminated him, I thought he was gonna get immediately really angry and beat her or something like that, but he didn't. He just beat on the door a couple times, okay, I guess she's locked in.
He tried to open it, and then that's what I'm saying. He definitely cared, because I imagine if he didn't care, right? If he definitely didn't care about her, Madeline would have died. Without a doubt, she would have died. Even though she was pregnant and he knew she was pregnant, she would have died.
Yeah, he does. He does care about her. Because anyone else though, he doesn't
Frank
care.
Immediately
when he realized that Billy knew who he was, he deleted his entire identity and got rid of all his information about him. And that being an undercover police officer, he was like,
go on.
And that was another thing. If Billy never saw that envelope, everything would have been fine.
Everything
well, not fine, but fine as in Billy wouldn't have died and no one else would have died. But, and also because Callie I was actually going in there to get him out of the system, not erase him, but get him out of his job and give him the money or whatever, and give it to him, and he'd be on his way, and he'd be like, okay, sweet, I'm done, I'm clear, I can just be an actual detective now for real, and I'm good.
Everything was fine because Billy was like, I just want to be done. I want to be done. I hate this.
I'm tired of it. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
It wears on you so much.
He's because his stress level's been 105 this whole time, 110 out of 100. He's up there. And he's just like, no, I'm tired. I don't want to be a police officer. I'm done. I'm exhausted. And then he sees that envelope and it all comes back and he's like,
everything clicks.
He's just like, first off, you killed Queenan, gotta get back at you. You killed that other undercover cop, gotta get back at you.
Wait, what undercover cop?
There's
He didn't shoot that one guy.
but he indirectly got him killed. Because that's the same when Queenan's thrown out of the building, that undercover cop is shot by the cops trailing Queenan.
Yeah.
Which all could have stopped.
That's
if
not
they
his
didn't-
fault though. That was a legitimate following. There was just that was a whole miscommunication thing with both the police and the gang showing up at the same time. That was an accident.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, that's on Damon's character. That's on Collie.
Wait, how?
Because he got him to trail him. He probably knew.
But he
Granted,
didn't know that-
He didn't want them to engage. But
Yeah, and he didn't know the gang was gonna be there. He thought it
no,
was
he
just gonna...
did. Well,
No,
no, he did because he's the one. Because when they throw Queenan out of the window, they have Queenan being trailed,
Yeah.
and he tips off the gang he tips off Frank.
Oh, he does.
Where the rat and where Queenan is. So Colin, that's what I'm saying. Like that's also on Collins. And
I definitely want to rewatch that whole scene then.
Yeah, because okay, so like after all that happens, he like turns off the light in his office because he's like, finally it's over, and obviously it's not over.
Oh, I interpreted that as completely opposite.
Oh, yeah,
I saw it
no.
as him turning off the light, and be like, oh man, I really messed this all up. Oh, what am I gonna do now? I
Wow.
might be found out because of this. That's how I interpreted that.
That's probably also true. It was a
I didn't see that as
Slippery
relief
slope
at all.
after that.
I saw it as him almost like giving up.
two ways to take it,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean that was definitely. I would say it's on him. One, that Queen died, and then two, that the undercover cop died was also him. And because of the whole way he did it, Billy was able to get those tapes and everything. Because we haven't said it, but Collins actually is the one that kills Frank.
Technically, yes, but he was already dying from a previous gunshot wound from the other police officers before that.
They could have saved him.
Yeah, but then he just shot him some more.
Yeah. But I mean, so
Yeah.
Collins does, and that's what I'm saying. Like Collins didn't even care about the man that was basically his dad. Granted, Frank did shoot at him.
No. He did care about him. Frank also cared about Collie in the beginning, but also I don't think he cared about him truly at all.
Are you talking about Frank or Collie to
Frank caring about Collie because
Yeah, I mean, no,
he might have
Frank-
cared about him a little bit, like he was a kid and he was raising him up into the gang or whatever, but and I bet Collie felt that way about him too. But when Collie found out, spoiler, that Frank was an FBI informant, that threw everything, probably all the feelings he ever had for him, out the window.
See, but that's the thing, though. Even though he was an FBI informant, he's always been an FBI informant, and that's why they've never been able to catch him. So the whole thing, the whole gang and all of it, this whole like police chase is almost kind of like just a waste of time. Because if they would have caught him, the FBI almost would have basically let him go free because he's an informant, and the informant part literally scared everyone. It scared Queenan, scared Billy, scared Collins, scared the other guy that was working as an undercover cop for Frank, scared everyone. So if they would have never found out that he was an FBI informant, everything would have changed. I think that was one of the big moments of the.
I don't think anything would have changed because he's still an FBI informant. Even if they knew or didn't, he still would have gotten away.
No, I mean like it would have changed like the way everybody was thinking.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Collie probably wouldn't have tried to kill him, or been like, okay, we got to get him now, or he's gonna.
And that's my whole point is that like Frank and Collie probably did have actual affection for each other, but as soon as Collie figured out he was an informant for the FBI, that went out the window.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, if he never found that out, it would have been different.
Yeah, I know.
In that aspect, yeah.
But then also, Frank.
Power of information.
There's also a bit of doubt with earlier when I said that Frank might have not have legitimately cared about Collie, or maybe he did, but throughout the film, Frank gets more and more frustrated with Collie and how he's handling things, because it's never revealed, but it's hinted at that Frank might have given information about Collie to the FBI, but he never says anything when he's dying.
No, he said, I don't know, he says it. He goes, I've never talked about you to them.
I don't believe him.
You don't believe him?
No. Because after that, Collie asks him a second time, and he doesn't respond.
And
then
he does have 3 bullets in his stomach. So I mean,
What does that have to do with anything?
God, man, maybe he was tired. Couldn't say no.
I don't really believe him. He might have not. So if he did, if Frank did at the end of the movie, when Collie think he had everything figured out, even if Dignam didn't kill him and all of Frank's tapes where the lawyer didn't get him, the FBI might still got on him, might have got him in the end, in the very end anyway.
Fair enough. Forensic psychology. Is there any more? I know we've been like, I don't think we're getting off topic. These are good questions. I
think we're keeping it on the movie.
Yeah.
And trying to incorporate that as well.
Okay, here's a good question for you, Zane. Okay, so mass murders or serial killing. Do you think mobsters would all? Do you think in this film? Do you think they would all be mass murderers or serial killers? Okay, so
Well, are you asking technically, or are you asking just my personal opinion?
Yeah,
because technically there's an actual difference between a serial killer and mass murderer. There's like a number of people you have to kill for it to become serial to mass murder.
There is, and I'm almost surprised, but also not surprised that you know that. So that's why I was just gonna ask you what you think what they would be classified, and because you can be both a mass murderer and a serial killer. Just the main gang members. So that would be Collie, Frank. What's Frank's French?
French?
Yeah, I guess those 3. And Mark Wahlberg's character, Sergeant Digman.
Are you asking me if they're serial killers? I don't understand this question.
Yeah,
because the only person
the
only person
so
Dignam ever kills is Collie.
Yeah.
That's one person.
Is that who'd you say?
You said French, Collie, Frank, and Dignam.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, French is definitely serial killer and mass murderer.
Wait, what does this have? I don't understand what you're getting at.
I was just asking what you would classify them all as.
I mean,
but then obviously they're all.
I mean, based on if you're just asking like who they kill in the film, I mean, Collie only ever kills 2 people.
Yeah.
He kills that other informant that was in the academy or with the police
and
with
Frank.
him. Oh yeah, he kills 3. He kills Frank.
Yeah.
He kills the other guy, and then he accidentally kills that random Asian guy walking in the alley.
Yeah. So.
That was manslaughter.
He
was protecting himself.
I guess I guess that's not real because we already know what they are. I guess that was a poor question.
Well, would you say you're about finished then with all of your thoughts on the film? Are there anything else you want to add?
There's one other thing that I want to talk about, but it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it, but it was a good one. So if you have anything, you say it. And
I guess I'd like to add one thing. Some of the things I didn't really enjoy that much about the film. I thought it was a bit long.
It is long. I would agree.
But at the same time, that's what I expected because it's a Martin Scorsese film, so it didn't like surprise me or anything. But some movies that are really long, I can sit through them and usually enjoy them. And not to say I didn't with this one. It's just I noticed the length of it. Like the last 20 or 30 minutes, definitely. Not that they dragged on. I think they were important to the film. It's just it just seemed like a while. It took a while to get there. I guess not the color. I guess that might have been the only thing that I didn't really enjoy that much about the film.
Was the length?
Yeah, I like the soundtrack. Even the "Shipping Up to Boston" song. I remember the thing. The color in the film didn't seem off to me. I just didn't really find it very, I guess, visually appealing. Because it didn't seem like drowned out at all. It just seemed kind of like this weird, almost like just a tiny bit oversaturated in some parts. And then just, I don't know, kind of got my attention off the film.
This would be my last question. I don't even know if it was the original one I was thinking of. But do you think in this movie there's a good sense of poetic, well, maybe not poetic, but just a good
poetic
sense
justice?
Of justice throughout the film.
No.
Like who kills who, when and where, and like why. Do you think that like there's a good sense of it, or like some of the deaths, like Billy's death, you were just like, okay.
Now, if you're asking justice, then no, because I don't think Billy deserved to die.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
but
the
what
other.
about like the others? Do you think? Well, I'm just like a broad sense of like the whole film. So like when Frank died, do you think there was some form of justice in it? Definitely. I mean, like I definitely feel like you would like Billy. You don't think there was justice, but like I feel like you would say when Collins is killed by Digman, you think there's justice. But like, what about like Frank? Do you think there was any claims or good things that happened because of his death, goodness, or do you think it was more of Collins just 100% trying to save himself?
I think it was both, but I really don't think about it in terms of like if there was actual justice, because I mean, not to say that the film is like, I guess the film was realistic. I mean, it's a movie, obviously there are going to be things that are exaggerated, but I think it was kind of realistic, you know, in a general sense, and it didn't really, I don't think it'd really work as trying to find like if there was justice in it, but I think for me it's definitely, I would take that and just say it was great in terms of being a tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say after that one big gunfight when they get Frank, they all need to go to see their shrink. They're all going to have to be tested for duty again. So I guess it's done with the psychology part, I think. Yeah. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. There's one scene when they do the deal with the Chinaman. And they don't set up any cameras.
Did you say Chinaman?
I did. What did you want me to say?
Asian?
Well, they are
I'm just
from
kidding, I don't
China,
care.
so I don't know why I would have to broaden it.
I'm part Chinese.
Oh, yeah, me too, dude.
I actually am Steven.
Yeah, no, I am too, Zane.
No, you're not.
Yes,
Anyway.
I am.
Anyway. I'm just kidding. Keep going.
Anyway.
Not about the Chinese part.
Anyway, did you like the whole... Do you think... Okay, I know I just asked you about justice, but I'm going to say I 100% agree that Alec Baldwin's character had every right to punch the guy that set up the cameras right in the face for not putting one in the back of the meeting place.
I don't know.
No?
Because I don't know. I mean, professionally, no, you shouldn't have done that. But
No,
when you're in that line of business and tensions are
like
high,
that
you're so
whole
close to getting
stress,
it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him, but I still don't think he should have done it.
I mean, definitely.
But I mean, I think a nice medium between it would have been if he just like punched a wall or something.
Yeah,
Because he didn't have to punch the guy that like that.
I mean, but he did. They could have saved everyone if that would have happened then, except for Matt Damon's character.
Not necessarily.
Close.
Maybe.
They had a chance. They had a better chance to take Frank then.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I'm done with most of my thoughts on the movie. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
No, we're done with the forensic psychology.
I mean, we also talked about how we felt about the film throughout it as well.
Yeah, throughout. So shout out to my teacher. She's the best. I'm sad she's leaving, Dr. Bear.
Hello.
We all love you here. Zane loves you, and he's never even had a class with you.
Okay, cool.
He knows you're the best.
Yeah, Steven has told me many great things.
I really have, because not writing a 7 to 10 page paper is great. Everybody needs to find teachers like Dr. Bear, understanding and great. Anything else about the film? We said negative things. Probably the biggest is it was just long.
Yeah, and that's not even like a big criticism of the film
Yeah, I
itself.
mean, because sometimes I liked it at some points, because the very first time I watched it, it was good. Any other time after that, the length stinks, but it's good the first time because you're like, sweet, the movie's gonna end on this high note, and it's like, psych, 20 more minutes, and then you're like, nice, here it is, he gets him, and they're like, psych, he's dead, here it is, finally, and they're like, psych, he's dead. Continue. So I mean, that's not bad. I guess all we have left, Zane, is to relate this film.
Well, would you recommend this film?
I would recommend.
And if
this
so,
film.
to who? Or if it's just everyone?
If you like crime movies, And I mean, how long? Do you know the total duration? It was about 2 hours. And
Oh, it was longer than 2 hours.
I'll check that. But
I'd say it's closer to like 2.5 to 3 hours. But
I would
me-
definitely suggest it, like I said, for anybody that just likes, just crime.
Yeah, just
The
crime movies.
cast is fantastic. I thought all the acting in it was great.
I felt some of the Boston accents sounded a little fake to me.
So, like,
but I
what-
don't know
who's,
which
like-
actors were actually from that area or not. Like, so it could have been genuine. But,
Yeah, I would say Marks, Leo's. The main cast was pretty good. Alec Baldwin. I know
Alec
that
Baldwin,
one you had.
I don't know. That one sounded
You
kind of
didn't know, but like Marky Mark, his was great because he's Boston dude.
yeah.
Leo's great. Damon's fine.
I would,
Runtime is 2 hours and 31 minutes.
yeah, I would say that I don't know if this is my favorite Martin Scorsese film, but I would definitely say this is the first one where I would probably go back and watch it a second time.
Watching it second time.
Yes,
So.
and I would recommend it to everyone, really.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not if you're a child, but because it is rated R. But yeah, for the most part, anybody that just likes gangster and cop films,
Yeah. So, Steven,
it's up there
What-
on the list for those.
what food or experience would you relate this movie to?
Well, Zane, as an experience, mine would probably not be food this time if I had to pick. Mine
Okay.
would be more experience. You remember ever playing like cops and robbers with? Okay, I know you don't have any siblings, so
I mean, I grew up with two cousins.
yeah,
in the
with
same
two
household.
cousins. Did you guys ever play like cops and robbers?
No, well, we did a lot of other things that were very similar.
Very similar. Okay, so with me and my siblings, whenever we played like cops and robbers, or just with friends in general, and you're pretending to use like Nerf guns or actually like sticks or whatnot, and you pretend to shoot someone. You know, at the very end of this movie, that's how it felt. You know, like when you're playing games and then you're like done, but at the very end you all just shoot each other for no reason. That's how this movie. It just
So you're saying
reminds me.
that all that was for no reason? It didn't
Yeah,
have
kind
any,
of like
it didn't have any emotional
well, no,
impact?
the whole emotion throughout the whole film, like when you're actually playing the game, but at the end you always want that last word and like shoot each other in the head for
Interesting.
as a kid, no reason. So to me, it just reminds me of.
It
playing
reminds
cops
you of
and
that,
robbers.
but
Yeah.
what about that is like or like the film though?
Like the film?
I mean, I guess literally that's like
Literally
the film.
just
but-
everybody's
Okay,
killing each other
Alright.
and we're cops and robbers
I would say
in the
for me,
simplest terms.
originally I was gonna say a really good steak, but I didn't enjoy it that much. So I'm gonna say this film to me is like a really, you know how you can get at grocery stores and stuff, they have like pre-made and preheated rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
So to me, this was like a really, really, really good rotisserie chicken. You went on like a good day where like they just put out a fresh one and they actually put time and effort into making it, and you took it home and ate it. It was nice and juicy, and there was a lot of it, so you could take your time with it and eat all of it if you wanted to. You know, take it a while, but you'd still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But for me, at least, chicken eventually, if I eat a lot of it, it gets like kind of dry to me, and I kind of want to stop. Still enjoyed it, but I just like I'm good with what I've had. I guess that's what I would compare The Departed to.
Yeah.
A really good rotisserie chicken.
I mean, I like that. If I did food, I feel like probably close to that. Maybe boneless wings. That's what I would say.
Ooh.
Boneless wings, and that's I would say boneless wings because the chicken part still really good, sauce really good, but sometimes you get more bread than chicken. In the
Well, some
boneless.
people love that.
But I don't. And that to me sometimes is that length, right? You're like, God, I love the chicken. I love the action. I love the story. And then it's like, here's some bread. So here's like 15 more minutes of just more and more. And I'm like, no, I just want the chicken. Chicken
I
and the
gotcha.
sauce,
All right, well, I think that about finishes up this
Finishes
review.
it. This one's super long, but it's a special episode, so
Yes.
it's okay.
Yeah, I had fun doing this one with Steven. I hope you get a good grade.
I
for
also
this.
hope I get a good grade.
And I hope everyone listening, I hope that you enjoyed this and that you got some good content out of it. And I hope, and Steven also hopes that you just have a wonderful day.
Yeah, just a great day. Next episode we are going to talk about.
Oh, you haven't decided yet? Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. How about that?
Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.